Ooh, okay, so this is gonna be a tough video, to be honest, to make. And TLDR, guys, just to give you guys right out the gate, you guys clicked on this video, like, oh my goodness, he's class changing again. Oh, what is he doing now? Is he swapping to I don't know, some random class or something like that? No. I'm gonna take a break from Diablo Immortal for a little while. We will see what the future holds. I have plans, which I'll go over all in this video, and I'll probably start with that, honestly, because for those of you that are curious. But yeah, I'm going to take a break from Diablo Immortal. I'll definitely pop back in and check out what's going on here. And who knows, maybe I'll come back and continue to play the game hardcore and catch up and everything. Because honestly, if I take a break, I'm not even behind at all. I'm going to be honest, guys. If I were to leave right now and not come back for 2 months and then enter the game, I could immediately do Hell 8 and then spend literally a day and then do Hell 8 dungeons, and then I'll be completely fine. So I'm really not worried about that aspect. Of course, unless they add additional dungeons or additional things in the game, that could easily happen. But again, for those of you that are curious, I am taking a break from Diablo. Now, check if you guys want to watch the whole rest of the video. It might be a little bit longer because I'm just going to kind of talk for a little bit about what's happening, some of the criticisms I have, why I decided to change my mind here for Diablo Immortal, and what the future holds. And as I said, I'll start with what we're doing and what we're changing for the channel. Because as I said the other day, YouTube is not something that I'm not passionate about. YouTube is the passionate thing regarding anything on this channel. It's not about the game necessarily. Obviously, I could really enjoy a game, but first and foremost, it's all about interacting with the comment section. It's interacting with the audience. It's interacting with other YouTubers. That's actually another really favorite part. But it's also creating better thumbnails, trying to get better at thumbnails, trying to get better titles, trying to get better content itself, getting better at editing, trying my hand at that. Or just everything about YouTube. That's my favorite part about this whole thing. It's my most fun I've had playing games since I was like a kid, right? And you could say I'm still a kid, but so that's not going to change. And as such, I want to be diving into season 28 of Diablo 3 and pumping out daily content for that game for some time, probably for honestly until D4 comes out at the minimum, unless I wanted to just pop in and make some Diablo Immortal videos till then. Because D4, as I've been mentioning on this channel quite often, is the goal. I, first and foremost, am an MMO player. I'm an MMORPG player. My first game I ever played at 6 years old was RuneScape, and I played that up until I was 11 years old. At 11 years old, I played Star Wars: The Old Republic, for those of you that have played that game. I played that game for about 3 years. And then at 14, I was playing Guild Wars 2. And I played that up until 16, went back into RuneScape and all this stuff. And I basically played MMORPGs my entire life, except for World of Warcraft, which I played much later on, a couple years ago, actually. That's one thing I actually never got into compared to RuneScape and Guild Wars 2. And of course, during that time, I also played a lot of League of Legends because, you have to. But regardless, guys, what the point of that is I actually really enjoyed the MMORPG aspect. I enjoyed the MMO aspect of Diablo Immortal. And so I'm really excited to play a Diablo game that I think does the MMO aspect with the open world content similar to Guild Wars 2. I think that's really cool. From what all the videos I've seen out there, it seems to be really, really kind of like that. Again, I don't know exactly because I haven't really dove into the game a ton and I can't say much about it. All I'm referring to is the content that you've seen online about Diablo 4. And, well, it looks crazy fun. Okay. So that's definitely the plan. Now, Diablo Immortal is something that obviously I picked up and joined because of the community. That was literally the reason I decided to play this game. It wasn't because I particularly enjoyed Diablo. It wasn't because I particularly enjoyed mobile games. It had nothing to do with that. In fact, I had never played a Diablo game before Diablo Immortal. except for a little bit of D3. It's the only thing. The reason I decided to join Diablo Immortal was because of Darth, because of Chosen, because of these other people, because I saw they were getting into the game, and because of YouTube, because I figured it'd be a fun game to cover for YouTube. And both those things were a success, a massive success. I felt like we had a lot of great times. With Aftershock, we ended up pushing #1 on the leaderboards, and we did it all on our own. We're the only clan on this server, at least, to create 3 clans, run them all, okay? And if I'm going to toot my own horn here, I definitely did a lot of the management stuff, but we had a lot of help with Chosen, with a lot of other people, including Darth. But we managed to do it all on our own. Push 3 clans, fight against the entire server. The whole server hated us. Because they had this idea that we were the strongest, which in fact, we had 1 5K player, and meanwhile, like all the other clans out there had like 4 or 5 5K players. So we were the underdogs. The only reason we managed to succeed is because we had the best organization on the server. We had 70, 80 people showing up on each of our clans to every single Shadow War, and we just leveraged that the entire way through, which was actually a really fun experience. Okay, so we succeeded. When I came out here to play Diablo Immortal, I won, okay? And so did a lot of other people, including a lot of the other favorite content creators. I believe Darth was very successful. I mean, granted, he's dominating the scene. Chose was very successful in the content he chose to make for Diablo Immortal as well. And that was my goal. Not sure if that was theirs. I imagine it was, based on what I've spoken about them about. But that was what we decided to do. That's what we tried to do. And we did it, okay? And then after that, it was kind of all about, okay, what do we do now? Because we weren't going to push the game super try hard for Diablo Immortal anymore, right? We weren't going to do that because it's stressful, 1. 2, it's a lot of work, You guys can't imagine. I was playing literally 12 to 16 hours a day of Diablo Immortal, but 4 to 5 hours a day was ship farming, where I was managing Discord messages and all that stuff. I'm sure those of you that are clan leaders and stuff can imagine what that's like. So we weren't going to do that again. We just weren't going to do it. There wasn't like a huge motivation to do it, and the time window was closing, because the longer we stayed in the game, the more people were wailing, and the more times we had to go into the Shadow War, and it was like 6 different people had 7K resonance, and it was like, okay, well, what are we going to do? I have 3K resonance. I'm in the Shadow War because I'm the clan leader, or Darth's in the Shadow War because he's the clan leader. He's got 3K resonance. We just couldn't compete anymore. So that's where we transitioned over to sort of a more laid back, we're going to sit here and enjoy the game, okay? Now, if we remember what Diablo Immortal is all about, it's literally about combat rating grind for PvE. As much as people want to say you can min-max and push challenge rift to like 1 more level, the reward for pushing a challenge rift 1 more level is, guess what? An upgrade for your set items, which is combat rating. Therefore, everything comes back to combat rating. Challenge rifts do, dungeons do, open world farming does. Every single piece of PvE content boils down to combat rating. Every one. And that's just a little boring. It's a little boring. People will say, oh, I wish you would try additional builds. I wish you would. I have tried. I have tried almost every build possible on the Wizard. I don't make videos on all of them because I actually don't believe that a lot of them are very good at all. But I've spent so much time testing out every build on the Wizard. And when I was playing Crusader earlier on, I did an immense amount of testing, because that was like, the first month or 2 of the game. And I wasn't even sure if class change was going to come soon, and which it did, which was cool. But you guys go back on my channel, I had like the dumbest builds just for fun in PvP, right? But then PvP got to the point where everyone had 7K resonance when you start pushing, and it's a lot less fun, so I stopped doing PvP. And of course, whether or not you guys agree, people just don't want to watch PvP. People don't PvP. The most average people don't PvP. It's a small portion of the game. It's a dedicated portion of the game, which is why it's important to make changes to PvP, because they are your dedicated players. But the majority of the audience does not PvP. That's just not what happens. So we have no build variance really in PvE. It's all about combat rating. And so to progress, the only things you have options for are normal gems, legendary gems. I already mentioned this in my previous video. Basically, there's not really a way to progress once you've spent money. And this kind of ties into the pay to win aspect. The game is pay to win. It is. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that in terms of like a morality perspective. I'm not going to make that argument. I don't think there's a consistent argument for that. I think that when people do make that argument, there's a lot of holes. And so what I will say is that it's not fun. That is not, it's just an opinion, right? And I think 99.9% of people will agree with me when I say that pay to win aspects of the game aren't fun. Maybe if you're the top 0.1% where you are spending 7K, getting 7K residents and you enjoy that, then heck, maybe that's you. Even if I was that person, I still don't have fun. Heck, even spending to 3K residents and dominating the field early on, that wasn't particularly fun for me either. I much prefer a skill-based game. That's why I played League for so long. That's why I enjoy logging into these MMOs that I still do to this day, like RuneScape and Guild Wars, because they're not pay to win. There's like, well, I could say they are pay to win in some sense, but what I mean by that is the grind to get items in the game is the point of the game, just like this game, except you can't get massive advantages in terms of stat lining from in those games compared to the main game if you don't spend money versus if you do, right? There's no realistic aspect for free-to-play players to reach 7K residents. There is a realistic option for free-to-play players in these other games, even though you can spend money to acquire additional resources. It's very reasonable to get max gear in these games reasonably quickly, especially compared to this game. We're talking like within months if you guys are good at the games. Especially for Guild Wars, you can do it on day one. But that is definitely a port of the game that I've never liked. And I don't like in any pay-to-win game. Gacha games, don't like it. Black Desert Online, didn't like it. That's a little bit more pay-to-win than the other MMOs I mentioned. Any game that has pay to win, it's not a fun experience. And that is definitely a damper on the excitement for a lot of the game modes in this game. Specifically PvP. There was no pay to win, and it was about min-maxing your build and using your skills at the right time, which it is partially, for sure, then it'd be a much more interesting game mode, and I probably would be engaging with it more. But I'm not, because I don't want to enter the PvP modes and have to play a certain build to try to be a little bit more useful, because my damage numbers aren't good enough to beat their health pool. And even then, I still get one shot because my health pool isn't high enough. Right? And I think most people understand this criticism. Most people understand the pay to win criticism, and they accept it and they move on, or they don't and they leave. And that's totally fair. Which is what I did. I accepted it and move on. But that doesn't mean that it's not a portion of my fatigue for this game, right? I've played so long in this pay-to-win game that it's starting to wear me down. That's why this video is coming out. But as we move forward towards more of the current times and why this change has kind of happened, well, I think more so than anything, we were expecting a regular update schedule with regular updates that were actually going to improve the game. And I feel like we kind of got let down on that one. I've made a lot of videos about the updates. The expectation was every 2 weeks. That's not happened. And again, I understand there's some situations where you can't. But every other game I have actually, every other game I'm a content creator for at this very moment has not skipped a week. Eternal Evolution, Infinite Magic Ring, Raid Shadow Legends has a different update cadence, so that's a little bit different, but any game that is committed to weekly updates, they have not skipped. And I've covered them for 4 to 5 months at this point. Diablo Immortal just can't pump out content like that. And I think this is kind of on the point that Echo was trying to make in his video, which is that it's not really a mobile game. It's not structured as a mobile game, but trying to add content as if it's an MMORPG, trying to add good systems over time that take time to develop. And I think the focus is completely misdirected. Whereas when we started the game, I know I claimed we need new events, we need mobile game events, we need people to get excited about logging into the game, we need better rewards, we need people to log and be like, dang, look, there's 10 Telluric Pearls for this login event, dang, I gotta log in. And then bam, ooh, 5-star, I got a new 5-star every 2 weeks. That's crazy. That's the type of things that get people excited and get people excited to log in, including myself. But we never got that. And so that was something that I expected to get since day one. And as time has gone on and on and on and on and on, I realized it's not going to be what we got. In fact, I've waited after they claimed, hey, we're going to do new events. And the new events are like the Tongshi's Renewal. I don't even know if it's still active. Or like this event, the Perils of the Fen, where they just basically rename it. And they say it's a different event, but it's not. It's literally the same event that we got day one. You just do things in the game and you get like rare crests and you get a legendary crest, which is actually not a bad thing, by the way. It's just that if I move myself over here, look how long this event lasts for. It's long. It's 8 days long, and you get 1 legendary crest and 1/40th of a 5-star. You know, like that's the kind of rewards I'm talking about, right? That's like 1 legendary crest a week based on these events. So the rewards are too low. And as you continue on with the game, I realized that we're just never going to get that kind of mobile game update cadence with the updates that encourage people to log in. I have not seen a specific time in Diablo Immortal's history where I would want to log in one day over the other. The only exception was when December came around and we had the major update. Or when like a new update pops with new content, people log in to check out the new content. But there's not been a situation where, oh, I'm encouraged to log in because this event's really cool and I want to get these good rewards. Not a single time in Diablo Immortal's history have I felt the rewards were good enough for me to log in for that purpose. Not a single time. I think that's a major problem when you have a mobile game. I know some people are saying, oh, well, that's not what I want. That's not what Diablo Immortal is about. Whatever you think, it's a mobile game. It's on the App Store. That's the type of people that are going to be looking at this game, right? And I feel like trying to ignore that audience, or I guess not cater to that audience, is a mistake. Because I feel like people would enjoy that. And that's what I was hoping for a long while back. But not only that, we also just, the updates that we did get were a little bit disappointing. Some of them are really good, and I stand by it. I stand by the statement that Diablo Immortal is in the best state it's ever been in terms of a game and the enjoyability aspect. But that doesn't mean that the updates weren't somewhat disappointing. Legendary Essence Extraction System, pretty disappointing. Reason why? It's done in literally like a week for those people that are grinding a lot. If you're a casual player, maybe 3 weeks. You're done. And that's it. It didn't really change any of the builds. It just gave higher numbers for the builds. I was hoping that it might add new mechanics, but it didn't. I remember making those videos and I was like, maybe they'll add more charges to skills and make those skills viable. Like, for example, a perfect example of this would be, oh, now I can run Demon Hunter and run a Chakram build with multiple charges, or like dual Chakrams where like the essence extractions, they could do so many cool things with it, right? Instead of just giving number increases and cooldown decreases. It is a big deal for progression and such, but it's just not as fun as I was hoping for. Right? There's been a lot of updates like that. There has been a lot of updates like that where you think you're going to get one thing and think it's going to be amazing, and it's kind of just meh. Another example is Stormpoint. I don't know if anyone's gone over to that area since the beginning of December, but I went in, I finished the storyline, I've basically never gone back. Some people say there's good farming spots over here. There's not really. I've run the math on these. They're just worse than the farming spots, or on average with the farming spots in the rest of the world. So there's nothing particularly special. I've even tried the event, and up until like literally a couple weeks ago, it was super bugged. And the event isn't even particularly great either. The rewards aren't even worth it. So I thought we were gonna have a bunch of new farming locations that were gonna be better. I thought we were gonna get new events that were gonna be fun. Nope, I've never gone back. There's no reason to. Not if I want to progress my character. So things like that have just kind of worn on me. And this update that we got literally today is a perfect example. In fact, I misread the patch notes. Or rather, I misinterpreted it and in my video yesterday, because I said that we were going to be able to test the normal gems to see what it was like. But actually, it looks like it's slated for February 22nd. So not only did we wait longer for this patch yesterday or today, but the patch was literally just stash tabs, basically. Like the normal gems wasn't even included. That's the next update. So we waited like 3 weeks for stash tabs and new cosmetics. It's like, guys, that's not an update. Like that's not an update that we want. And I know some people still enjoy the game. That's great. If you enjoy the game, keep playing. There's no reason why you shouldn't. I don't care. In fact, I encourage you to play the games that you want to play. But on that note, I want to talk about one thing that is both the best and worst part about this game. And that's the community. I say best and worst part, but as a content creator, so if you're a player, you might not see, I guess, the bad parts as much. But I will say it's mostly good. But in this game, the vocal minority is actually very vocal compared to a lot of other games out there. I've gone over this in a lot of other videos, but this game has an unnatural amount of hate towards it. And in fact, the players in it and enjoying the game also have an unnatural amount of hate, generally, too. It's very divisive. And that lends itself to a less fun experience overall for me. At the same token, as I said earlier, the most fun I've had in this game was getting that immortal initially. Joining forces with other clans, or rather, joining forces and grabbing people to come to our clan. Working with Darth and making collaborative videos. My favorite video on this channel so far, literally of all time, is the stupid wizard build that we made, where we went and grabbed a Crusader and we grabbed a Necro, and then we all just threw our lasers into an ice crystal and we just tried to clear challenge rifts. Like, that was the most fun I've ever had. That's because we were playing with friends. And that community aspect, that's always been my favorite part about this game. And in fact, it's usually my favorite part because I'm a content creator, right? It's kind of hard not to have the community be your favorite part if you have to interact with literally thousands of people every day and get messages from people, like tens of them every day, from random people you've never spoken to in your entire life. Okay. If you don't like the community, you're probably in the wrong job as a content creator. But more so than anything, I think this game really, really fosters a divisive yet super close-knit community through its immortal system, right? Through its initial launch, the fact that it was so divisive, that also created a schism for a lot of people. And so I think that's also, again, both the best and worst part about this game. And so then we end, I guess, on why now? Why now? What's changed? Well, there's a few things. One, the realistic answer that I will give you guys, just because I'm usually based in reality here, and that is, it's not big enough. One, Diablo Immortal is not big enough on a YouTube scale. It's not big enough from an audience point. It's not big enough. Even when I'm playing the game, I don't feel like there's a lot of people playing it. Right? It's not a big enough audience for me to really push myself to the next level. And a lot of people will understand this, and I get it. For those of you that do, there's a level of effort that I put in every video. And there are times when I will put in an immense amount of more effort. And due to the nature of Diablo Immortal YouTube content creation and the audience in itself, it's either not worth it or it's just not the content that people want to see. And the not worth it part is the part I control. The content that people don't want to see is just something that I have to accept as a content creator. But I could spend, 8, 9, 10 hours on a video, editing each individual part, putting together the build, getting other people to collaborate with, chatting with them, right? I have spent 8, 9 hours. I could spend 12, 13 hours on a spreadsheet, which I have. If you guys have seen my Diablo Immortal spreadsheet, you would know. I've spent hundreds of hours on Diablo Immortal spreadsheets. But the problem is, if you look at it from like a business point, I'm spending hundreds of hours for not really a lot of gain from that aspect. So that's the realistic aspect. And that is a large component of all this, right? That is just a large component. That is just the realistic, hey guys, I gotta make money. Hey guys, I wanna grow my channel. I wanna meet more people. I want to send my content out to more people. And Diablo Immortal just isn't really that big of a game in the grand scheme of things. To be fair, the game I'm gonna cover next, Diablo 3, isn't a crazy big game either, but it's still double the size of Diablo Immortal, which is crazy for being a 10-year-old game. And Diablo 4 is gonna be like the biggest release that Blizzard has ever had in its entire life. And that's the plan, right? And I want to make amazing content. I want to spend 8 hours editing a video. I want to spend hundreds of hours on a spreadsheet. I want to do that. But I gotta be realistic. So that's one part of it. Okay. The other part is that there really, as much as people want to say, there's a ton of content to make in this game. I'm really not out of ideas. What I am out of is out of ideas that people want to watch. People don't want to watch a lot of videos. They don't want to sit there and watch the 100th video on combat rating game. Because that's, again, all of these systems, the farming spots, the combat rating, they've not changed since the beginning of the game, except for maybe the Heliquary in terms of combat rating, right? And so you get flamed as a content creator for making videos that are there to help people. And at the same time, you get called out for having no content. And then you have, of course, a large majority of people that just appreciate the content. And I think this game, more so than anything, because of how stagnant it is, it reinforces this fact as both a player and a content creator. I can guarantee you, if I had played the first 2 months, left the game, and came back, I would basically be as skilled and as knowledgeable about the game, except for the new systems that might have come out in the 6 months that I was gone. Because this game has not changed its fundamentals at all. There's no really new content in the game. The only things that are really different, you could say, are the dungeon, or not the dungeons, the Heliquary, right? The new zone, and the essence extraction system. I think they're the 3 biggest ones. If I were to hop into PvP today, compared to the first month that I was in the game, it's exactly the same, except for higher resonance. If I were to compare builds on like the Crusader from day 1 to today, there are some modifications, but for the majority, it's the same builds. Same with the Wizard. If I were to go and figure out how to gain combat rating day 1 and go into today, it's exactly the same. You could add the Warband in there as well to gain additional combat rating and the Heliquary. But at the end of the day, those are one-time activities or weekly activities or bi-weekly activities. I'm just going to go run in a circle because that's the best thing to do. It's not changed. And I think all this, as I said, ends up creating sort of a stagnant experience in which both for myself as a player, I don't particularly find exciting, but also as a content creator and people that I'm trying to make content for, it's not particularly exciting either, right? And I know a lot of you out there watch my videos and they just enjoy every one. And I'm sincerely appreciative towards you all that do that. At the same time, there's also a lot of people that no longer watch Diablo content and in fact no longer play the game. Why? Because of this reason, among others. And so because of all that, because of everything I've said so far in this video, it's time for me to open the next chapter and continue onwards with Diablo content. Get ready for Diablo 4. Diablo Immortal has been a really enjoyable experience, and I don't regret it for a second. Don't regret covering the game. I don't regret swapping my previous game. I don't regret playing the game for as long and as hard as I did. Not for a second. I will always remember Diablo Immortal. And as I said, I'll probably be popping back into the game, check it out, see what's going on, because I'm curious about what updates they're on. So I'm not quitting the game necessarily, but I am taking a break. That means that starting tomorrow, you're gonna see my complete rundown of Season 28 for Diablo 3. As you guys might have noticed, I've been lower Paragon. Why? Because I spent like 40 hours over the past 5 days doing Diablo 3. Because I'm super excited for Season 28. And again, the reason why I'm going to be doing Diablo 3 is one, I enjoy the game, it's fun. I actually haven't played the game as much as a lot of other people, because I really only played Season 27 and this season. But I've played a lot of it in those seasons. And again, I'm ready for Diablo 4. And so I want to get that Diablo experience and the absolute absurdity that is Season 28 in my system and ready for Diablo 4. Because that's the ultimate goal, Diablo 4. And so we're going to try Season 28. We're going to make some videos about it. We're going to have some fun. That's all I want to do. I want to have fun. I want to make videos. I want people to enjoy the videos as well. Preferably more people. That's the realistic aspect, right? As many people as possible. And so we're going to do it. We're going to have fun. We're going to make Diablo content. If you guys want to see my popping in from time to time for Diablo Immortal content, stay subbed. If you guys want to see Diablo 3 content, stay subbed or sub to the channel if you guys haven't. If you guys are here and you don't want to see any D3 content, totally fine. Respect that. Respect your decision just as much as my decision to move on. But at the end of the video here, I want to give a big thanks to everyone in the community. Even the ones that did do a lot of hating. Give me a couple laughs for sure. But especially the ones that are here, and especially the ones that say they've been here since day one, still check out the videos, but don't play anymore. Because I know there are some of you that watch, because that's, you got to check out your Diablo Immortal content for the day, which I appreciate. But then there's some of you that just watch because they're curious, even though they don't play. And I appreciate all of them. So that's going to end the video, guys. And again, I will leave on this note. I'll see you tomorrow for Diablo 3. And maybe I'll see you in a couple weeks for Diablo Immortal.